Okay, Harold Fannin Jr., tight end out of Bowling Green, 67 to the Browns. Connor, how does he fit next to David Njoku?
Interesting player, insane year from a production standpoint. 100 catches, over 1,300 yards. Really a big slot at tight end. He's not going to live on the line of scrimmage. Almost wonder if you use him as an H-back, even like a borderline fullback in terms of the pass game as well. But Njoku is a big-bodied inline threat. So this is an offense that has room to play a tight end consistently off the line of scrimmage, where really, really good hands. He's good through contact. He can play through contact in contested situations. He's not fast or agile, but he has big strides for build-up speed. So this is more of a weapon in the slot than a traditional tight end.
Yeah, I think better landing spot, obviously, for Dynasty. They still have Njoku. They still have Jerry Jeudy. They know they want to run the ball. And as we sit here today, we're not sure who the quarterback is. Maybe it is comeback player of the year Joe Flacco, Jay Croucher.
People forget about that.
People forget about that, but he did. He won comeback player of the year in 2023. And Flacco is back in Cleveland. It just feels like they're going to want to run the ball, and Fannin, like, eventually will get there, and they use him sort of as a slot receiver here, but hard to see consistent production given the other elements they have on offense, Lawrence.
Yeah, he's going to have to find his way in this offense, but because he's a different type of player, because he's not your traditional type of tight end, like Connor said, he is an H-back. That's
for
just
sure
what he is. It's what he plays. He can get open. He's good at that.
Yes.
He's not the fastest or the most explosive or the most he doesn't have the most agility, but he's got good hands.
Routes
he
are good.
Get open. Yeah, he could do some of that stuff, but because he's different, it'll give him a chance.
Yeah, it just feels like, given what we saw last year out of Fannin, a disappointing landing spot, at least for this year, in terms of fantasy.
You can win this job, Kenny Pickett. You will be the man throwing to Harold Fannin Jr., not Joe Flacco.
Maybe he'll win comeback player of the year.
I'm okay with that. Let's go Kenny Pickett. The New England Patriots have 60 wide receivers now. Kyle Williams, add him to the fray as they continue their makeover on offense.
Well, the difference is he's actually good. So this is a really good pick right here with Kyle Williams. He's dynamic is what I would say. It's all about the play speed. For Kyle Williams, to me, it's the vertical ability and what he does with the ball in his hands off the screens. That's how Washington State used him. They even used him on jet sweeps as well, where he can win the corner consistently. Quick feet, good releases, very competitive at the catch point. Despite being a smaller wide receiver, he played outside for them, and he played outside for them at a high level, slippery in the open field. He's got a slender build. He's got short arms. There's concentration drops. But, man, we talked about with this team, Travion Henderson, a big play home run threat. This is the wide receiver version of that.
Yeah, I think the issue is like, first off, awesome landing spot when you think about dynasty-wise, going along with Drake May. And the biggest target competition right now is Stephon Diggs, who's 31 years old and coming off of injury. Now, they've got a lot of other guys. They've got Pop Douglas. We talked about Kayshon Boutte. And, again, 8 billion wide receivers. But you do feel like Williams will eventually emerge. So I could see us talking about him as, this is a waiver wire pickup. This is a guy you have to go get. And certainly long-term, love the landing spot to grow along with Drake May.
Yeah, we talk about them having a lot of wide receivers. Well, the difference is this is a new offense. You got Josh McDaniels back. You got Mike Vrabel back. So Mike Vrabel drafted this guy. He ain't drafted them other guys. So those guys, they could be let go. But Kyle Williams, they obviously see something in him. So he's going to have the upper hand out the gate already.
Realistic, he could be the best wide receiver on the Patriots this season?
Yeah, I mean, guys coming off ACLs, it's not always pretty that first month or two. So I think so. My player comp from was a little bit of a throwback. Eddie Royal is who he reminded me of.
Sure.
So
there you go. Didn't think we were getting an Eddie Royal reference tonight, but there you go. Draft night continues with surprises.
Okay, Isaac TeSlaa to the Detroit Lions to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta. How does his profile slot in with this team? Really
interesting player, and you bring up slot. Like, that's where he played, but almost 6'4", 214 pounds, insanely explosive, huge testing numbers. You see the speed, the acceleration on tape, reliable. He doesn't drop a lot of passes, but it's interesting. I looked at him and said, man, there was more on the table for him. Only 28 catches, 545 yards, 3 touchdowns, but he's open a lot. They should have thrown him the ball more. I thought he should have played outside more as well. So are the Lions looking at him going, man, we see you as somebody that can win on the outside because you're such a great athlete with size, or we're going to keep you in the slot as that power slot. He's just really raw. He runs into coverage a little often. The separation skills are still a work in progress for how great of an athlete he is. So this was a developmental wide receiver with a lot of upside, but I'm fascinated by what the actual plan is for him.
Yeah, I think he'll compete with those other guys that come behind Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams. you talk about the versatility. He could probably play every spot at wide receiver, but something that I think he does well is block. He can block.
Yes.
And you know what the Lions want to do. They want to run the ball. So if you're going to play receiver for the Lions, you better be able to block.
Just feels like, to me, kind of a pick of like best player available. Like, hey, let's just add depth to the wide receiver room. Look, the Lions are loaded. There's not a lot that you can look to and they need. And I feel like, the one need they addressed on the offensive line, right? So it's just sort of like nice pick, developmental pick, more of a dynasty guy out there. Not somebody that's probably going to have a lot of fantasy production this year, but good pick for the Lions.
Denver Broncos go back to the well on offense. They take Pat Bryant to pair with Cortland Sutton in the passing game. What do you think of Bryant's fit here?
Physical wide receiver, played inside and outside, team leader of that program that really evolved and grew into this role. Excellent hands. One drop on 78 targets. Passing offense was, not the best there all the time, so the contested catch opportunities were limited to 13. He caught 9 of them. This is someone, to me, once again, that just plays the game with an edge, which this franchise loves that kind of guy. As a blocker, in contested situations, the 4.6 140, you see it on tape. He doesn't run away from people consistently. He's going to have to play in a phone booth, but he's somebody that could do that as a wide receiver 3.
It's interesting when you sort of think about the Denver Broncos. I would say Cortland Sutton is 30. Evan Ingram is injury prone. Those are the 2 pass catchers you're going to want from the Broncos offense. But you could certainly see a scenario where Bryant plays his way, either because of injuries or whatever, into significant playing time at some point this year. We're still waiting for that Marvin Mims breakout. I loved Mims, but the one thing I will say is that Mims was the first draft pick of the Sean Payton era. And we're like, oh, look, Sean Payton got his guy. And we're still waiting for Mims to get consecutive snaps.
Right.
So
Fred Franklin's there.
Right, exactly. Exactly as well. So, like you said, it's an interesting pick and certainly interesting for long term. But unless something happens to Sutton and Ingram, Lawrence, it's hard to see him having consistent fantasy value this year.
Like Connor said, one of the best parts of his game is being physical, getting out there, blocking. That's the type of guy Sean Payton likes, and we know what they want to do as well. They want to run that ball too. So he'll get in there, he'll compete. You mentioned Troy Franklin. He's still a guy who's trying to get some run there too. So it's just Cortland Sutton and a bunch of guys trying to earn targets behind him.
Houston Texans have found an inefficiency. Just take Iowa State wide receivers whose name starts with J. They've taken Jaylin Noel to pair with Jaden Higgins. What do you think about this pick?
Reminds me of a wide receiver in this division in Josh Downs. That's who I saw. Now, you think of this team, obviously, the significant injury to Tank Dell, and that opens up a role that kind of makes sense for Jaylin Noel. He's got excellent speed, excellent explosiveness, change of direction, so quick in his routes. You just see him constantly shift gears, and that's really hard for corners to stay sticky in coverage with a guy like this. And he also has a lot of experience as a returner, over 15 yards per punt return in 2024, so they like the special team aspect as well. Obviously, a little bit undersized. He's not going to play on the perimeter. That's why they have Nico Collins, and they took his teammate, Jaden Higgins, to do that as well. So I love the landing spot here and think he can make an impact here as a rookie.
Yeah, I think Kirk, they can get out of the Christian Kirk deal after 1 year, so you sort of think about the future here, and it's clear that C.J. Stroud took a step back last year. So much like we've seen the Bears do with Caleb Williams, the Texans are saying, let's give a lot of weapons here to C.J. Stroud. They lost Stephon Diggs. Tank Dell's injury is very serious, so let's get him some weapons. Now, we still want an offensive line here, but Higgins and Noel are both pretty interesting for the Texans long-term, Lawrence.
Yeah, they're trying to fill spots. Lose Stephon Diggs, get Jaden Higgins. Lose Tank Dell, get Christian Kirk and Jaylin Noel. Pay attention to what they do during the camp.
Yes.
That could probably dictate what happens with Christian Kirk and Jaylin Noel.
Yeah, it just sort of, it feels like it certainly helps. I feel better about C.J. Stroud this year, I guess, than I did previously. Again, would still like some more offensive line.
The line's a little shaky.
All of the stuff considered, they won a playoff game too.
Yeah, no,
it was it's crazy because they still won a playoff game.
They got in the playoff game, but this is good for. It's a great landing spot long term. You like to see the teammates together there. That's fun.
Yep. Christian Kirk drinks free, by the way. Wide receiver 2 to wide receiver 4 in 2 hours.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.